just written in how the media cover this sort of stuff. Because if there's one group of people on planet Earth who are culturally narcissistic, it is members of the legacy media in the West. They truly believe everybody thinks like them. They think that on everything, from pronouns to taxes. And they certainly think that when it comes to international conflict.
Only a fool will deny the nature of what this man is saying. I'll tell you what, man, the media propaganda is deep, man. This is why you gotta do your own research. So I'm gonna do another reaction to Ben Shapiro once again because he's going deeper, exposing the level of propaganda that is in the Western media about the situation going on in Israel, Gaza with Hamas. They say to me, and I've heard them, that the Israelites are just committing war crimes. They are just a bunch of evil people and so on like that. Until you do your research, you find out, wait a minute, there is more to the story. I mean, first of all, the fact that the Hamas soldiers went to the people in Israel and did what they did, innocent children were involved in this, butchered, massacre, barbaric, evil, diabolical. There is no justification for that. You've started a serious,
of course, to sully them.
A serious problem here. However, Israel has the right to retaliate. But the perspective we're getting from the media, look what they're doing to the people in Gaza, which, friends, it is heartbreaking. War is horrible. And I'm not here in any way to justify or minimize the nature of what's going on. But what I'm simply saying is this: be careful how you come to a conclusion from the perspective and the propagandas from the mainstream media. Do your own research. And I think this man, Ben Shapiro, is presenting some serious hard facts here. Only a fool will deny the nature of what this man is saying. You'll see what I mean. Link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Let's get into the video.
That's the idea. Now, there are a lot of people out there who are then calling for some sort of sympathy for what's going on in Gaza. Now, we can all be sympathetic to the civilians who are stuck in Gaza, obviously. We should also remember that the only people who seem to give any shit at all about Palestinian life in Gaza in this conflict are the Israeli troops. Those are the only people who seem to be perturbed at all about the civilian casualties. In fact, Palestinian civilians have told NBC that Israel is telling them to evacuate.
In terms of how Israel goes about reducing civilian casualties, they say that they use very precise intelligence before they strike any specific location. I've been inside Gaza when Israel has been bombing, and you meet Palestinians who say that their phone rang, and on the other end of the line was an Israeli military officer telling them in Arabic, "We're going to strike your apartment building because there is Hamas infrastructure in it, but we want you to go door by door first and make sure that there's nobody inside the building before we strike."
And by the way, this has been substantiated on every score. Israel was putting out publicly media yesterday in Arabic, telling civilians where to evacuate from and where to evacuate to. Here is some of that. I'm going to translate it for you. Translation has been provided by an Arabic speaker. There's an Israeli soldier speaking in Arabic. The operations of terrorist organizations force the IDF to act against them in your place of residence. May peace be upon you. Residents of the Shirk area, Al Shuaya neighborhood specifically, please go to the shelter or to the center of Gaza City. And then there's a map showing where you need to evacuate from and where you need to evacuate to. We are talking about these instructions for your purpose, protection and assistance in distinguishing between terrorist organizations and citizens. Citizens, in order to help us in this, you must follow our preparations. That is Israel literally providing maps to the civilians on the other side of the border. An IDF commander yesterday went on TV explaining how they are working to minimize civilian casualties. Here he was yesterday.
What we have been doing from the air over the last hours and actually an entire day is striking Hamas targets with great power and severity. We have been striking all of the different targets, the military targets belonging to Hamas. Now, you may have seen footage on TV or on social media, and you may see a building standing and then flashes and then the building collapses. And you say to yourself, well, that looks very much like a civilian building. What I want to tell you is that no, that isn't a civilian building. It is a legitimate military target. And why is that? Because Hamas locates all of their offices, headquarters, their research and development, and all of their other military assets, if it's above ground, they locate themselves in civilian buildings. And Hamas, being the cowards that they are, they never put signs on their buildings saying, "Welcome to the Hamas headquarters for planning terrorist activity in Israel," or "Welcome to the Research and Development Center for drones and projectiles." You will never see that because Hamas wants to disguise itself as civilians, and they use civilian buildings for military purposes, which makes it a legitimate military target. And those are the targets that we are striking with tremendous force over the last days, and those are the images that you're seeing coming out of Gaza.
This is so important to hear it from this perspective, because that's not what we are told in the media. That is not what we are told, friends. War is bad, man. War is a dirty business. It's murky, it's deadly, it's dire. Innocent people are going to suffer. Children will be impacted by this. But at least we should know why this is going on. This is a perspective you don't hear from the media. At least it is completely silent for the most part. You got to go dig for that. And that's important because it helps us to understand, wait a minute. They're not just going out there hurting innocent individuals. This is happening as a result of these serious factors. I tell you, man, I'm telling you.
So Israel is attempting to minimize the civilian casualties on the Hamas side of the line. What is Hamas doing? They're literally telling their own people not to evacuate. They're telling the citizens that they are the legitimate government of Gaza. They are the legitimate government. They were elected in 2006. They enjoy broad popular support inside the Gaza Strip. A poll from June 15th, 2021 found that three quarters of Palestinians viewed the Islamic militants as victors in the last battle against Israel. A scientific poll by the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research found 53% of all Palestinians believed Hamas was the most deserving of representing and leading the Palestinian people. 53%. That was in 2021. Okay, so Israel is trying to save the civilians, and meanwhile, Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas have put out audio telling people not to leave. There's a message in Arabic, and here's what it says, quote, "We will renew the call to the citizens not to deal with the recorded voice messages that the occupation randomly sends through the citizens' phones asking them to leave their home, which aims to cause panic and fear as part of the psychological warfare accompanying the occupation's aggression against our people." In other words, stay and be murdered for the cameras.
That's crazy.
Stay and be killed for the cameras.
That is crazy. That is lunacy. That is lunacy. And now, our sympathy is going to be weaponized under the notion, look what they're doing to us. Why would a government tell his people, I'm telling you, this situation is bad. It's bad on so many different fronts. I tell you, man. Well, I'm glad I'm hearing this.
That's what we want you to do. Murdered by us because we are telling you to stay. There is a reason. They put their headquarters underneath a hospital. There is a reason that they locate their armaments in a university. There is a reason they use schools in order to shield terror activity. This is what they do. Because again, they are playing on your sense of cultural narcissism. You wouldn't do that. So why would we accuse them of doing that? Because they do. They know what you're thinking. They know how you think, but you don't know how they think. That's why we show the atrocities. Again, it's not even like they're hiding the ball. You have to be willfully blind at this point, or anti-Semitic, or just Jew-hating and you don't care about the truth, in order to not see what's going on here. Here's a flashback. This is a couple of years ago. This is tape of the IDF telling a Hamas person to get people out of a building. is an IDF phone call to Gaza to evacuate a building with civilians before a bombing. This is just a couple of years ago. And here's how the conversation went.
يا حبيبي أنا بقدرش أطلع كل الناس هذول من أنا بدي
I can't get all the people out. I need at least 2 hours to get them out. And the Israeli says, listen, we're going to bomb the building. You want to bomb? Bomb whatever you want. He says, no, brother, we need to do everything we can so you don't die. He says, we want to die. And the Jew says, but you have a responsibility for children's lives. And the Hamas operative says, if the children need to die, then they'll die. And the Jew says, God forbid, God forbid. What do you want to die? He says, this is how we reveal your cruelty. The way we reveal your...
Boy, you see? That's called propaganda now. That's called propaganda. This is why it's good to do your homework, man. This is why it's good to research. Look for the facts. Because there's a lot more going on than what you and I, from the West, from the perspective of Westerners, than what we actually think. That destroys a lot. The narrative has been destroyed by this video.
Our cruelty is we refuse to move our children from bombing sites after hiding munitions in the sites. Are those people who think like you? Mm-hmm. So again, so much of the West is built around this presupposition that you can negotiate magically, you can diplomacy your way out of a clash of civilizations, which is what this really is. This is a typical point of spear for a serious clash of civilizations. Mm-hmm. And so you can see it just written in how the media cover this sort of stuff. Because if there's one group of people on planet Earth who are culturally narcissistic, it is members of the legacy media in the West. They truly believe everybody thinks like them. They think that on everything, from pronouns to taxes. And they certainly think that when it comes to international conflict.
I'll tell you what, man, this was great. This is why I'm making this video, is to share a perspective that I think as Westerners, we are not given. We're not being told the entire story. We're getting bits and pieces of that story until you begin to listen. Ben Shapiro has completely changed my perspective here. This doesn't justify the death of the innocent ones in Palestine, in Israel, in any sort. But it does show you there was much more to the story than what we are being told. Friends, I don't know where you stand when it comes to this, man. I'll tell you what. This is a situation that actually I'm preaching on this coming Sabbath. And it's a matter of prayer. It's a matter of seeking God's wisdom. It's a matter of saying, Lord, change the hearts of men from their evil doings. And there is a religious side to this story, and I plan on doing another video to show you in the doctrine of Islam, there is a concept to annihilate Jews. It is in their doctrine. So it's not just political. It's not a matter of territory. No. It's actually very religious, friends. It's actually, most wars are religious wars anyway. So ideas have consequences. There are things that I think has to come to an end. It has to stop. But it's going to take Jesus. I'm serious. It's going to take Jesus, the Holy Spirit, to stop some of the wickedness in which we see our society has plunged into. Friends, I share this video to say a number of things. Number one, do your own research. Look for the facts wherever it may be. Number one, do your own research. And number two, be sensitive to the information you are given. I say sensitive, don't go out being harsh and rash, picking side for the purpose of whatever. And I do admit that I'm biased. I'm somewhat for Israel because I saw the Hamas soldiers as the aggressor. They initiated the fight. So as a result of that, I have a problem with this. They went after innocent lives. The beheading of children, 40 children, 40 babies. That is extreme. That's barbaric. That is evil. That's wicked. As a result of that, I'm already leaning more toward the Jews. This doesn't mean everything they do is perfect either. I think they have their flaws. But I'll tell you what, man. There is something lacking in the hearts of men today. What is lacking is what Jesus speaks about in Matthew chapter 24, verse 15. What's lacking in the hearts of many today is love. What's lacking in the hearts of many today is love. The Bible says, friends, we're going to hear wars and rumors of wars. We see that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. We are in a time of wars and rumors of wars, friends. The nations are going to rise against nation, kingdoms against kingdoms, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. In other words, things are only going to get worse. That's what that means. Verse 12 tells us, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. There's a lot of hate in the hearts of men today. There's a lot of wickedness in humans' heart today. Many of the lives that are being taken too early, too soon, is the result of the coldness of humans' heart. God needs to give us a new heart, friends. Humanity has what I refer to a heart of stone. And when you look at what's going on here with this war, you get the sense that, and it's not a new thing in humanity. It's not. It's just, it's hard to believe it's happening in the time in which I live. That's all. This is why God says, I'm going to give you a new heart. A new heart also will I give you. A new spirit will I put within you. I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And my prayer is that the people in Hamas, the Palestinians, their teachings, their doctrine, their political position, or their religious position, and as well as the people in Israel, I'm asking for their hearts to be transformed. That's all. I feel so powerless when it comes to this situation because there's only so much we can do. Get on this camera and just tell this story, share a thought and perspective. But at the end of the day, I feel so powerless. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like there's only so much we can do. So I pray, I speak, and I share my thought, and I hope to bring a different perspective out there. But truly, this is a matter that God alone could change. It's so deep and far rooted in hatred, and I don't have the words to even fix the nature of this beast. I don't know where you stand and what your perspective is when it comes to this. I would like to hear from you. I'm for individuals, man. I'm not for political position. I'm not for religious conception. I'm not for that. I'm for humanity, irrespective of where they're from. But I hate demonic, destructive ideologies. And that's what I'm going after. I'm going after fake ideologies. And that's why I got another video coming up addressing some ideology of Hamas and what they have perpetuated for so long, which is part of the reasons why in the Islamic faith we have this situation. But until then, I'll be praying, man, hoping and trusting in the Lord. Thank you for listening. Share your thought and perspective with me. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.